Alright folks, we're fixing to get after it today. The next phase of the electrical project. Excuse me. I was working on the house, running the conduit to rewire the house. But today we're going to be digging the trench from right here off the corner of the barn all the way back across and back down to the house to hook into the main panel. This is where the oak tree was at that actually got struck by lightning, and that wire runs somewhere right through here. And that's where the lightning managed to jump into that circuit and blow the meter, or blow the breaker panels like it did. So expect to find some sort of damage through here as we dig. Not really sure if it's in conduit or if it's just wire buried in the ground. There's conduit coming up on both ends, but there very well may just be a buried wire. We got to try to find it. But the system's all dead. It's already all disconnected. So we're going to fire up the Mini X here and start digging. Get this trench opened up, and our goal is to get it trenched, get the new wire run. We're going to run conduit the whole way just to be extra safe. We'll get the new wire run and hopefully get it all covered back up today. So we'll see how it goes. Some of the pole barn constituents. There's some of the stuff for the pole barn. Oh, that was your main water line and your main water line and the pole barn water line. I'm mostly focused on that's your air line.
That's that went to the...
Yeah, whether I broke that or it was already broke, I don't know. This is the big one I'm working on, obviously.
Well, no, you haven't hit the main water line, have you? Because that's it right there.
Yeah.
Oh, you did hit it?
Yeah, he's got it running out this way. He had it running out away from the foundation a little bit. Oh. It doesn't turn and go right along the side, which is fine.
Okay. We'll repair it. Is that what we're doing?
Well, we can splice and repair wherever we need to, yeah. Okay, show you guys what we're trying to do here. I already hit a couple of little water lines and air lines. That's fine, it was all damaged anyway. But what I'm trying to chase is this this main electrical conduit. You can see he brought it out away from the shed about 3 feet and then turns the corner and starts going towards the house. So I'm trying to get to where I know where it's headed and be able to get down on top of it. Looks like it's about 2 feet deep. So I'm going to have to broaden this ditch out here. I want to use the same ditch that it was in before. Actually, I take that back. I really don't. I want to come down right here off the shed and turn straight towards the house. That's the fittings that I bought, was to have an elbow down here in the ground, not to come out and come around. You see, when you're pulling conduit, you don't want to have any more than 270 degrees of turn between each hand pull spot. So right here, he's got 90, 90, and 90. That's 270 already. So if we had tried to fish this and pull it, we'd have been in a bad shape. We'll show you a little later on exactly how we're going to do it. Actually, we're just going to slip the conduit on over the wire as we go, and then backfill. So I'm going to broaden this out right here beside the foundation, just so we can do that with a shovel. But I want to get all this old wire out. That's just a personal thing. I don't like leaving wires and unused pipes in the ground, because somebody eventually is going to dig it up again and they're going to crap their pants when they do. So I want to get all this old stuff out as part of this project before we put the new stuff in. So I'm going to start tracing down on top of this here and working back towards the house. Well, this is interesting, huh? That's not a water line. That's the electrical service. that goes out to the shop. So, I mean, if it was a pressurized line, it'd be blasting out of there. But that's just gravity pressure up from the shop. Don't really expect to find that though. Normally when you cut open a conduit, you don't expect to find it full of water. This sucker is full. So probably what happened when the lightning struck the tree and it busted the water line, and that's also where it arced into the shop. Either it busted the conduit and just, as that water line started leaking, it filled the conduit up then, or it's filled up with rainwater ever since or something. Who really knows? Or I guess it could have already been cracked and full of water, and then when the lightning struck, it busted the water line, and that's why it electrocuted everything. Who knows? But yeah, anyway, this kind of sucks because it's sitting here flooding out my little ditch. I was holding off doing this right here is actually the water line, which is turned off. I was holding off doing that until the end, obviously, just so we could work in a dry ditch. But you go and cut the electrical conduit and get water. Not quite what I was expecting. Anyway, progress is slow. We had to hand dig everything up here by the house, and there's just conduits going everywhere. There's this generator conduit that I had to dig around all the way out to make sure I exposed it. You know, gutter drain. I mean, look at this mess of stuff right here. And that's not, there's the phone cable or the power internet, and then that big 2-inch or 2.5 inch, that's your actual main service to the house. It goes somewhere right here along the slab, I presume, or else it goes deep, deep, deep. But the pole's out there, so you figure it does pretty much a straight line. Anyway, looks like she's just about done leaking, so I'm going to finish making my cut through there, and then we're going to pull this conduit where we've actually loosened all the clamps on it, and it's loose at the box up here. So we're just going to grab this end and let it swivel over and put it into this ditch that we've already hand dug with the generator conduit. And then we'll do the same thing with our water line so that everything is in this one ditch that we've already opened up. That way we're not digging a whole other ditch over here chasing these water lines and conduit trying to figure out where it goes. And I figure we'll find it back somewhere out there. Yeah, somewhere out there under the excavators where they would all turn back together, I suppose. So we'll find them again. We've already chased them down from the shop. So okay, I'm gonna get this cut and lined out. Okay, so we're about ready for the initial pull here. We've got our cable built. 2 conductors, 1 neutral and 1 ground, and we've just gone through and black taped about every 2 feet to kind of hold it together as a cable. We did the old vacuum trick to suck a piece of twine through our initial conduit stub here, so we're going to feed in this way up into the main panel here, and then, you know, leave about a 2-foot pigtail sticking out or whatever we need. And then as we work towards the shop, we're going to just shuck the conduit on the far end of the cable and basically build the conduit around the cable as we run. Just that way we're not having to lay, you know, 175 foot of conduit and then try to fish cables through it. We'll kind of do it all in one pass. And then that'll get us, we'll get at least 1 stick of conduit on here, or 2, and then we'll get our water line cut and get it moved over as well. And then we'll get all this garbage backfilled in, and then once we get past that corner for the generator, then we're clean digging. Any conduit or any wire that we hit's already been cut, disconnected, no big deal. We'll rip that crap out, clean the ditch out, and then work our way on up to the shop with the electrical and the water at the same time. All right, well, that is never an easy task. And we only had 1 corner, but it still fought us. But we got it fished up through there. We had to double up on our baling twine. The first time we started pulling with the baling twine, it broke. I didn't think I was that strong, but I managed to snap the baling twine. And it's not your cheap little hemp twine either, it's the nylon twine. Anyway, so we got it run up through here with a good long pigtail tied back around, and we just hung it off in the box here for now. I taped the crap out of it just in case somehow it slips and it moves, it doesn't touch something and create a fault, because this panel is live right now. You can see the main is on, so your hot lugs are on, and this neutral bus is carrying current in theory. So we're gonna get the faceplate back on, get this panel closed up. We're done screwing with this for right now. And we're gonna start working down the line, shucking on cables, or shucking on conduit. Well, I'll just give you a little update here before I get back to working. There's our 2 old conduits for water and power. We just cut the conduit, cut the wires right there. They run up through here somewhere and then take a jog. I really don't know where, to be honest with you, except that there's some kind of water line right underneath of here that's kind of running this direction that we just didn't mess with, covered back up. I have no idea what it is. And then when I get further up here, up the ditch, I find the power conduit. I don't know if the water conduit's in there with it too or not. It almost looks like it is. Yeah, looky there. Water and power. So they're running together now. I don't know what the heck that one is that we crossed over back there. So we just didn't touch it. I just left it as it was. We were thinking maybe the water was taking some funny jog over there, but anyway, these two conduits here are now dead. I've ripped them all to bits further up the line, so I'm gonna grab a hold of them here and I'm gonna try to see if I can break them and at least shuck the wires out of the, if I leave the plastic pipe, I don't really care, but I want to see if I can yank the wires out at least so we can take that and salvage it or scrap it. I really don't like leaving conduits and wires buried in the ground if they're unused, but I also don't want to tear up any more of my in-laws' yard if I don't have to. We've been working our way up the ditch now. We've gotten out of the weeds, so we've started gluing on conduit, and the you can see the water line's kind of laying right underneath of it here. My father-in-law's been feeding me down, you know, just like I was saying, we're just sliding the conduit all the way down the line and gluing it up. But I'm gonna jump on the Mini X here, and I got a break in the conduit all the way up there. Might back all the way up there and see if I can't get a hold of that wire with the bucket and the chain or something. See if I can't yank it all the way out of here. There may not actually be any bends between the house and here. I was thinking maybe there's a couple of bends, but depending on how he fed it in between those trees, there's not any 90-degree bends. There might be a couple of kind of curves, you know, but no tight bends. So yeah, I'm gonna back up there and get a hold of that wire and see if I can't just go ahead and yank it out of the conduit. And then that way, if I hit these while I keep digging, well then, oh well, who cares? This is the deepest I can go. I was hoping to go deeper, but I'm actually hitting some pretty big rock. It's kind of funny. I'm only 11 miles from my house, and at my house you can go down over 100 feet, you will not hit rock. And here we got these big old chunks of sandstone. And of course, you know, they have hills here, and at my house everything's just flat as can be. Anyway, let me see if I can get these wires yanked out of here, and then we'll see if we can't keep on keeping on. Keep gluing up conduit and water line. Well, that just about killed me. Didn't think about how strong that was stretched. Let's see if I can pull it now, if I got it broke loose or if I need to. Oh yeah, it's coming. Yep. Get all this fished out of here. And then I'll have to cut it inside the shop to fish it back the other way. This is all the wire that was damaged at some point. We don't really know where. Hopefully I find something. I mean, the lightning had to have crossed the insulation on it somehow. Or to have blown the breakers like it did and blown the panel off the wall. Oh man. Are you gonna see if you can pull it again?
Yeah.
More telephone line. I don't know how the hell he ever pulled that wire with all that telephone line wadded up in there.
I don't either.
Watch the tripod there. There's the end, or at least of the heavy cables. No more phone line coming out. Okay, can you do me a favor?
What?
Can you stand on at the next junction?
Yeah.
Right there where it's exposed. Stand on that. Thank you. close enough. Don't tell me kids can't work. She don't even know what she's doing, but she's helping. And she's learning. Big helper. Have her stand on the wires, because otherwise when I go to slide that conduit, sometimes it wants to grab the wires and drag them with it, because the free end is just right there. So she's being a big helper. Aren't you, Caroline?
I got one bug.
Oh, you got bug bites. You might have to go inside.
Yeah,
Okay, you want to grab one or two more? You want to do two more?
No.
Okay, you want to go inside?
And Daddy.
Okay, go on inside then.
Are you coming?
Yeah, I'll be in there in a little bit. Go in there and watch a movie, please. I love you.
No.
I love you. Are you not coming now? You gonna stay with Daddy?
I see my picture.
Well, in the waning hours, it's become a family effort. I got the women shoveling back in. I was using the Mini X to push in the blade, but we figured with the dying light, I need to go ahead and get it loaded up. I just had a one-day use on it, so I got to get it back home. And trying to float it with the bucket on the tractor just doesn't really work. And of course, I didn't bring the box blade. Didn't think I'd need it, right? Of course. Anyway, we've gotten to here with our pipes, and that's good enough on part of them. The only little boo-boo we've run into now, of course, is that the hole in the side of the shed was drilled exactly for 1¼ inch PVC, and we replaced with 1½ inch. The water line, we're going to cut this 1 inch off here clean. We'll put a bushing in and swap it back over to 3/4. 3/4 is what we replaced it with. It doesn't need to be 1 inch. Although I wouldn't have really cared. I just didn't believe that it was 1 inch all the way out here to the shop. It doesn't really need to be. So I bought 3/4 and I bought the bushings just in case it was 1 inch, and sure enough it was. So anyway, we'll get that finished out over here, and we'll turn it up right here with the edge of the shop. Have that done, but I've got to try to, I guess, I'm going to put a metal blade and sawzall and see if I can egg that hole out a little bit enough to fit this 1½ inch PVC through it. Hopefully I can get that done before it gets dark, because I would like to have all of this turned up and secured in case it rains tomorrow, then I'm not working down in a muddy ditch, then I'll just be filling in a muddy ditch. And I really don't want water and dirt going down in my open-ended conduit there. So that may be the end of this video. Let me see what I can get done. All right, well, we're just shy of a week later, 6 days later. In-laws have come through and shoveled most of this ditch back in, literally shoveled it in, because I guess they're just not very good with the tractor. It's been here. But I'll just show you where we're at. We got some tarps thrown here just because there's just a little bit of this hole left where we turned everything up. Just finished up gluing up the conduit this morning. Looks pretty janky, but it is what it is. Glued all the connections on the outside just to make sure they're weather tight. And this water line, I don't have the adapter to go 3/4 to 1 inch. This is 1 inch here. So I got to cross back over. I thought I had an adapter, but apparently I don't. So once I get that glued up, that'll be done. And we'll have water service returned to the shop. And then I'll just take you inside and show you. Again, this isn't complicated stuff. I guess I'm just talking about it to talk. Oh, son of a baloney. Oh, wow. Smack my knee. Oh, okay, so there's where our conduit comes in through the wall. You can see this ridiculously crappy cut that I had to make because I didn't have a nice pretty hole saw to widen that hole out a little bit. I just had to take that off and give myself a little slack to glue the fittings together. But yeah, then turn conduit up into the panel. This is our nice new panel, QO square D. We ripped out the old one because it was all bent and smoked. It had some busted pieces in it, so it had to be replaced anyway. And yeah, you can see we've got our wires stubbed up here. Got neutral marked and ground. So I'm gonna get those hooked up. Okay, well, let there be light. Golly, it's been almost 2 months, I think, since that lightning strike, and it was about 6 weeks of trying to talk to insurance and get help and get electrician's bids, and then 2 days on the weekend for us to get all this fixed. Not even full days. But I'm just going to show you how we did the breaker panel for now. Unfortunately, they gave us the wrong faceplate when we bought the panel, so we don't have a faceplate to put on it. When we're not out here using this, we'll go ahead and kill that 100 amp breaker at the house just so this isn't live with exposed wires. But just showing you a simple breaker panel install. So this is a 240 panel. It's a 100 amp panel. I think it's 125 actually, but it's got a 100 amp breaker on the other end. These wires are set for, it's #1 aluminum for a 100 amp circuit. So it's a 12 space, yeah, 12 space, technically 24 circuit panel. But got it. They send the individual ground bus with it. So, like I said, easy install. This is number 1 aluminum, and this was number 2 aluminum, I think, for the neutral. And then on the breakers, what I did for now, I stuck a few in there as placeholders. So the only circuits that we actually have in the shop right now hooked up, obviously, is these 3, which is west side receptacles, east side receptacles, and the lights. This 20 amp 240 will be for our jointer table. There's a space here for a 20 amp or 50 amp 240, which I left the breaker sitting. I had it in and then I pulled it back out, but that's going to be for a welder plug. And that leaves us options. This 20 amp 120 will feed back out to the pole barn. And then, like I said, we've still got spaces here. We've got 4 more spaces, actually, that we can run another 50 amp plug if we think we need to. We're still debating whether we do just this one 50 amp breaker to feed this welder plug and the RV pad, or if we put them on separate breakers. Odds are the 2 will never, ever be in use at the same time, considering my in-laws don't own an RV and don't intend to get one. And I can't imagine a situation where we would actually have 2 welders running at the same time, let alone one very often. So I was debating putting both of them, both the 50 amp plugs, basically receptacles, off of one breaker. I don't know if there's a problem with that. I think it's going to be tight fitting 2 6-gauge conductors in here, but I think we can. We kind of test fit already. I think it'll work. And so that would still, like I said, still leave us 4 full spaces. With plans to make this place more of a wood shop, a workshop, it would actually be good to be able to add circuits up here because, like I said, well, okay, I think I was just rambling out in the shop, actually, and then my wife called me and interrupted it. So we'll just take up down here at the house, at the main panel on the house, if I can get it open one-handed. Jeez, I didn't think it was that difficult. There we go. So I don't really like this panel. It's a shitty old GE panel. Oh, pardon my language. But this is the main. I'm not going to take this faceplate off, but you guys, if you're familiar with panels at all, you know what's going on. It's a 200 amp main for the house. So their system here, actually, you've got power coming in from the grid, and then they've got a backup Generac panel. So that power comes from here, it goes over to the Generac panel, and then actually comes back through and runs through the bottom of this box into here to feed their 200 amp for the house. For the 200 amp main. From there, off this 200 amp main, there's 2 big lugs that come out the bottom on the main bus, and those actually feed in. Can't see it, but there's a conduit going into the wall right here. Those actually feed in to feed the house. There's a sub panel right inside. Yeah, so that's pretty simple there. So throwing this main, of course, would just kills the house. And then I've wired it back up just the way it was again. So there's just a 100 amp 240 right here that goes to the shop. And of course the 20 amp for the septic, which was already there. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty simple. Like I said, we're not done here, but this gets us at least operable today. But we'll get that closed up again. And like I said, the shop for right now is, we closed it up, but power's on and everything's working, which is just absolutely wonderful. Again, you know, they had electricians, and I'm not cussing electricians. Y'all are in a business, as am I, on whatever I do. But holy cow, bids of, the lowest bid they had was $12,500, the highest was $18,000. And some of that may or may not have been changed based on what they asked the electrician to do versus what the guy was actually going to do. I don't know. But I really think there was a big premium price. I never saw a line item invoice, but my assumption is that there was a real big premium price put on running this new leg, which of course took us a couple of hours on a Saturday. That was it. It was a couple $100 worth of wire and a couple hours of labor. I borrowed the Mini X from a neighbor, which was free. But I'm thinking if they would have line itemed the whole bid, this part right here was probably like $2,000 on the bid. I don't know that, but anywho, yeah, enough yammering. Just figured I'd give you guys a little update on it. So it's live, it's hot, it's working. Woo! But we still got more to do.